Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. Abram thought he was going to do the intro, but I just took the rug right out from underneath him. And speaking of rugs, we're going to be talking about Animal Crossing: New Horizons. There are rugs in that game, but
That's
if you want to
true.
talk to us about Animal Crossing: New Horizons, any of our predictions here, or any of the other topics we discussed in our other videos, join the Discord. Link is in the description. And to quote Abram, if you are rooting around down there and just sniffing around, like give the subscribe button a little lick. I don't know what you're doing down there. But yeah, subscribe, like the video, and continue to talk to us. We like talking to you. But Animal Crossing: New Horizons released over a year ago. A year and no, not yet. No, not quite. When did it come out? March 20th. March 20th, 2020. However, that is very soon. And we're
Yes.
curious, what's going to happen in Animal Crossing: New Horizons in year two? What kind of content are we getting? And these are our thoughts, our predictions, our hopes and dreams.
Now, Tucker, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Animal Crossing New Horizons has been pretty financially successful for Nintendo.
Oh, I think I heard that. Yeah,
The fact that
for
Animal
video
Crossing,
games.
yes, for video games, period, because selling over 30 million fucking copies in under a full year on the market, as when those numbers are reported,
Yeah,
is insane. This game
that's
has so
record
much,
breaking.
yes, it has so much momentum behind it. It has so much goodwill, so much sales resonance that I think that it's a game that deserves a sizable and continual post-launch life.
Yeah,
And Tucker, I don't really think we've gotten that
no,
for New Horizons. We've gotten holidays, which have largely been retreads of the New Leaf
yeah,
holidays, with usually with like a DIY crafting component
hmm
tagged on top and some basic additions, right? But on the whole, I don't think we've seen this game expand in a new way
yeah,
since really, I don't think since launch.
yeah,
So I think it's time that we get that. I think that's what the game needs to stay alive.
hmm
Because you can hang your hat on 30 million copies, never fucking touch the game again, and it's
hmm
18 times more successful than anyone ever thought. But Nintendo has a unique opportunity right now to make Animal Crossing this persistent game, persistent but fresh. We
yep,
used to play Animal Crossing games before for years at a time. It was the same static experience because Nintendo just didn't care or understand how to do post-launch DLC content,
true.
right?
Or it
But
wasn't
it
physically available.
no, but now we're in an environment where we can have that,
Yep,
and I think we need it because I have entirely fallen off the game.
yeah, and I have as well. And I honestly, even because of the lack of content, or it's not because of the lack of new content. From
Yeah,
my perspective, I have played the game for close to 100 hours in the
yeah,
months after launch, nearly every day for months, which is more than most video games in general, honestly. And I got my fill of it, and
yeah.
I'm satisfied with it. New content would big new content, I think, would pull me back in for hopefully a refresh in that way. But I think the game just needs something so new that it both speeds up the sales and brings in the old players and recreates the community, because the community is what this game has going strong for it.
Yeah.
Its online components, the zeitgeist around it was so strong for months last year, and I think hopefully getting that back, that would be a really good sign, and something for me as someone who's not excited for a lot of Nintendo games in 2020 or 2021. Jesus Christ, that would be something for me to grab onto as well.
Yeah, and so I have not been particularly quiet about my dislike for New Horizons. I enjoy the game for what it is, but it's not the Animal Crossing experience I wanted. But I think that if the developers doubled down on this being more of a survival game almost with its crafting elements and its
Sure.
player agency, then even I could be brought in because if they fully realize their own vision, that's compelling to me. My problem with New Horizons is it felt somewhere between the classical Animal Crossing formula and somewhere between something new, you know?
Yeah.
So if they lean into that, I think that's great, which is why, Tucker, I hate to say it, but I think this game needs to become Stardew Valley. It needs to
hmm
become Animal Crossing's Nintendo Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
And the way I think you do that is you have to introduce major gameplay additions that don't get players back for an afternoon for the holiday,
hmm
but get them back coming day after day after day.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple different ways to do that. I think the major ones were leaked in a data mine like a year ago and never came to fruition, being farming primarily and also cooking.
Yeah.
These are great systems for New Horizons, because New Horizons is about building your world, living in it, crafting stuff.
Yeah.
Fishing, cooking, farming, all of these things do that, right?
Yeah.
And they keep you coming back, because crops, you got to water them. You got to till the soil. You got to pick them when it's harvest time. You got to sell them. You can have a new NPC that comes and buys your celery stalks.
True.
You could turn them into a gumbo. There are so many opportunities here, I think, to actually get players back.
Yeah.
These new systems are what we need.
Yeah. And I think that on top of that, obviously they're data mined. You said the code has since been taken down, which I perceive more as a Nintendo going, oh shit, we put that in there on accident. Let's get it out there in like, minor update or whatever. But so presumably they're on the way relatively soon. It wouldn't really make much sense for a major DLC drop to come 3 years after the game released. But that means that we could be getting that kind of announcement soon. We are a week away as of now, as of recording, from the 1-year anniversary of Animal Crossing New Horizons. I would frankly not be very surprised if we got an Animal Crossing Direct around that 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason that all of this is so compelling to me is because that stuff fits so well into what they have established. All the systems would work so well together. It would really feel natural. I mean, there's such an emphasis on outdoorsiness in New Horizons and building out a little world of your own. And of course, putting down a plot and getting all these items and collecting all the different things and using those to craft new decorations and or food. And maybe the food interacts with your villagers in different ways if they have favorite preferences for food and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff they can do there. And I really think that that would pull a lot of people back in. And you think that sort of addition would pull you back in for a little bit?
Yeah, I think it would, because if we can confidently step Animal Crossing New Horizons forward, great. That's something I want to experience. And I think systems like that get us closer to what the game is trying to be, because I've beat the drum a million times, but classical Animal Crossing was not about having this much agency over your environment. It was it was about being part of a pre-existing town and carving out your own niche within it, but basically the world existing with or without you. Sure. That's not what New Horizons is. And while that was disappointing, it was disappointing not only because it's not what I wanted, but because I don't think they went far enough with the idea. Sure. So I think that year 2, we've got a great opportunity to actually do that. I think you could go even farther if you want. I know they're like dungeons almost in Stardew Valley where you can explore. I think it'd be really cool if we doubled down on the whole, Dodo Airlines thing. Sure. You pay some tickets and you go to new Nook Miles Islands that are a little bit more involved, where you can explore and collect resources, and just bulk out the game a little bit, because the resource economy, the crafting systems, they're not particularly deep. There's not a whole lot of nuance or anything there. Yeah. I think you could rework that a little bit, make trees drop things consistently, rocks drop things consistently, and then which doesn't make sense if they don't, and then have these systems where you have to actually go out and leave your island and go find the things you need and come back, and you'll have new crafting recipes because you have new materials and new things to do. And perhaps it'd be so clever if you had almost like a Toad brigade, but of Animal Crossing characters who go out and explore with you, like a Crocodile Dundee type of character who comes out and takes you into I think there's so many possibilities for new NPCs that are connected to new 100%. Gameplay systems. Just anything other than here's some Easter eggs that are in the rocks and the trees and the water and the balloons and everything.
They're everywhere. You can't escape them.
You literally can't.
Coming out of your socks, coming out of your eyeballs. No, but I think you're right. And honestly, the more I think about it, Animal Crossing is such a good foundation for things. And I think that taking this step forward with adding more agency over the world and more involved gameplay mechanics, while it might not be where the series was before, I think it's really the only way to bring the series into the future and continue to expand it. Because what they've done with New Horizons, as you said, and as I've thought about it more, you're right in the fact that they could have gone farther with a lot of it. I think it's more of an Animal Crossing style version of a survival game. It's more simplified mechanics. It's intended for you to just chill, to just, be in the world and talk to your animals and build out your area. but they really could double down on it more. And I think that for me, the idea of expanding the world that you have access to is really compelling, because this is a series of islands. You know, it's not the pre-built town that you have in the back of your New Leaf village that everyone has the exact same layout and all that. There is a possibility of you hopping in Dota planes, choosing where you want to go, and finding other places. You can there's so much they can do there because they haven't restricted themselves to being attached to something pre-built, that they really could add new areas. They could add a city for you to go to. Like there's so much potential with this game to expand because of the island nature of it. And I really think that it would be cool. Another thing that I think would be cool is physically expanding your island in some ways.
Yeah.
The beach is such a limiting, boundary for your island. And I think that adding some way for you to build docks, for you to put little floating buildings on the water or something like that, and make it feel a little bit larger, a little more customizable. I think that would be really compelling. Of course, at this point, all conjecture. We're leaving the realm of the leaked, of the, it's not unlikely, it's not unfeasible, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I think that would be really cool, and it would really, like you said, double down on this evolution for Animal Crossing, which is what I think it needs, and I think that it could make it something much more involved, much more special.
Yeah, I think more island customization is a great idea. I think the game needs more end game content, because you can only decorate and redecorate your island so many times, Yeah. Also, add some more buildings for us to work towards. Brewster and the Roost Cafe are still gone. Why can't we eventually get those? But... Yeah, I take all the data mines kind of with a grain of salt, considering they've not materialized. I don't know 100%. If that means Nintendo is saving them for year 2 or whatever, but these things like that, I always thought it'd be interesting. What if Nintendo built specific islands for specific seasons you can go and visit by Dodo Airlines, go on vacations, pretty much,
Exactly, yeah.
There are just so many things you can do. We just need Nintendo to actually do them, Mm-hmm. Because Animal Crossing gets repetitive. It just does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even New Leaf, my favorite Animal Crossing game, at a certain point, you're checking back in for 15 minutes every day so you can do the shops, talk to people, catch a couple things, and log off, right? Yeah. This is such a unique opportunity to do more than that, mm-hmm. but that's just an opportunity that's kind of being squandered, And I don't think it's too late, because the game is so successful, you know? Nintendo's going to want to keep momentum up. I could see them being like, hey, here's the Brewster's Cafe in a Brewster amiibo. We're re-releasing New Horizons. You can get in with the amiibo, get new people in. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of things you can do to keep the game selling as it will.
Yeah.
New systems. And by the way, new holidays. Don't have fucking Bunny Day be the same thing again, Yeah. What if Zipper T Bunny came back and he started out by handing out apology letters for what he did last year, and then had a completely different event? I think there's just so many ways to make the game feel lively.
Yeah. And I think actually that might come, and honestly, I'm formulating my opinion on all of this around the conjecture that I have now that a big year 2 update is going to release within the next 2 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And add the things that were data mined. And I think that with that could come something like what you're saying. I think with the addition of food and farming and things like that, seasonal crops are now added. Holiday foods can be crafted. That food can then be, turned into other systems with your characters and all of that. And I think that is kind of what you're saying is that expansion might come alongside the expansion. But I think that on top of all of that, I think Nintendo could do a paid DLC expansion. I think something like a city to go visit, or expansions to your island, or something or something more a separate experience that you take off and you go to with new characters interacting with stuff. I think that could easily be sold as a $20 edition, frame it around some sort of fun vacation-y deal, and that's a millions sold right there.
Tucker, close your eyes, put your seatbelt on. Cap'n, $20. Cap'n shows up and whisks you off to an island full of mini games and resources and shit to collect. Summer update. June re-released the game with a fucking Brewster amiibo, a bunch of free content for everybody, but also $20 Cap'n expansion. Mm-hmm. He whisks you away to this place that we've been wondering why the fuck is he not in the game in the first place. Especially the game is literally tropical themed, and our main tropical man is
very true
for
multiple reasons. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of opportunity for that too.
Mm-hmm. And I'd buy the expansion because I like the game and not because I'm a Nintendo shelf. But
Tucker, I bought this thing. They can sell me anything.
yeah, I know. That's what I was implying there.
But I think those are about our thoughts on the game.
Yeah.
I'm not overly optimistic that
Sure.
a lot of this will come to fruition. In the Switch era, now that things are successful, Nintendo is complacent in a lot of respects.
True.
So we'll see how that translates to year 2 of New Horizons. But I hope that it could be great. I'm optimistic, but I'm staying reserved. And we'll find out soon. And of course, if there's a direct or anything like that, we'll cover it. Not only because we want the views, because we do, but because we both are big Animal Crossing fans. So
yep. We'll see you guys in the future videos, and we'll see if my prediction comes right. I really should have put that in our Nintendo predictions video, our 2021 prediction video, because Animal Crossing DLC is, God, that's such a good idea. Nintendo, hire me. Nintendo.
Maybe then you could afford a 5th shirt.
I have a job. I do get paid. That's not the issue.